and good afternoon, and welcome to this live feed from Indiana Wesleyan University. Randall King and the crew here from WIWU-TV, as we have kind of bonus coverage for you, an event available to many of you online, the Crossroads League Track and Field Conference Championships on this Thursday and Friday afternoon right here at the beginning of May. We're getting ready to start off with the running events. We'll see the women's 110-meter hurdles, and that will get us started as we go through the day. We're going to try to give you a lot of different events that we'll cut to from time to time. Try to get as many things on with the cameras that we have, but spread the word if you're just tuning into this live streaming event. Let people know this is available, especially if you're a track fan and you're a fan of the Crossroads League. We've got all the schools here on kind of a chilly, rainy Thursday afternoon. We're kind of between thunderstorms right now in north central Indiana, and so we're hoping to get some events in before a more serious rain.
You haven't seen Olivia, have you? Try call me.
So we'll get started with the women's 100-meter hurdles. We'll give you heat one in the prelims. Got lane 3, Jessica Tuttle of Bethel. Lane 4, Kylie Sandquist of Grace. Lane 5, Loma Bechtel of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 6, Ellie Ruby, Mount Vernon Nazarene. Number 7, Lexa Richardson, Indiana Wesleyan. And 8, Tamia Mills of Marion. And that is the starting gun, and they'll be off. Far distance side from us here in the broadcast booth. Runner from Marion looks to be taking that heat. See if we've got the results there at the top of that. Mills of Marion, your winner on this heat, Tamia Mills of Marion. And 14.86 is her qualifying time. And this is one of many events that will be in the preliminary round. You see there as she closes on the replay. Great closing speed coming around to bend. And as with many of these running events, we'll see finals probably tomorrow. So let's get you started for Heat 2. Lane 2 will have Laura Jenkins of Spring Arbor. Lane 3, Becca Spencer, Bethel. Lane 4, Dana Dwyer of Marion. Lane 5, Kesare Wright of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 6, Sarah Machino of Spring Arbor. Lane 7, Plansa Tekasua of Taylor. Apologies to her family if I'm getting that name wrong. And Katrina Smith of Spring Arbor in lane 8. Not quite up there yet in the starting blocks, but you'll see there on the graphics those names if we called them wrong. On that last heat, no surprise, Tamia Mills of Marion was the top-seeded runner. In this one, we'll look for Sakua of Taylor with a 14.21 preliminary time. She will be the fastest one, at least qualifying in this, and she'll be running in lane 7.
In these prelims, the top finisher in each heat and the next 7 best times will advance to the finals.
Following up from this, we'll have the men's 110-meter hurdles. And we have also far in the distance from our broadcast booth here, don't know how many cameras we can get on it, but we'll maybe dip into coverage of a little bit of the women's long jump, which gets started at 2 o'clock. Those of you who are track veterans, I'm going to assume that's a lot of you watching. You know that these events all run simultaneously. Many of us at WIW saw that a number of years ago hosting NAIA Nationals. This is the Crossroads League action here. Some of those teams were in Nationals and will be in Nationals coming up in Alabama. Women's 100-meter hurdles, Heat 2. Good start. Nice start for number 8, lane 8. Now the runner from Taylor doing exactly what we expected her to do, so looks like Sakua of Taylor with a 14.47. She ran a 14.21 to qualify for this. She was the top seed
That was
in that
Saka
heat.
in lane number 8, and unofficially she has established a new Crossroads League record.
Unofficially, according to
our
our public address announcer Jim Brunner here, that's a new Crossroads League record, unofficially at 14.47.
Third and final call for the men's 110-meter hurdles. Third and final call, men's 110-meter hurdles. Second call, women's
for the runner from
4
Taylor.
by 800-meter relay. Second call, women's 4 by 800-meter relay. First call, women's 100-meter dash. First call, women's 100-meter dash.
These events are spaced about 10 minutes apart. So if we follow schedule, we're going to jump to the men's 110-meter hurdles at 2:10. So from time to time, for those of you watching the stream, we will just take a break from commentary, which may be a good thing for many of you. But we will take a break from commentary and let you just see what's going on. Said the long jump is supposed to be starting at the same time. Do not see where the long jump has typically been on this track. We don't see competitors running for that yet, so we'll check on that when we see if something's going to happen there.
Okay, congratulations to Plenza Saka of Taylor with a new Crossroads League record of 14.47.
May have heard that on our public address. Saka of Taylor, new Crossroads League record with 14.47. So we'll be looking at their final coming up tomorrow. We'll be looking at Mills from Marion and Saka from Taylor, probably competing to see who wins that one. A lot of these athletes also positioning themselves now for NAIA national competition, which comes up later this month in Alabama.
Just like in the women's
Take a look at some of the shot put now.
Finisher in each heat, and the next 7 best times will advance to the finals.
Men's shot put starting at 2 o'clock on schedule. A number of these events are supposed to be starting at 2 o'clock, but weather conditions might be delaying them. Now, there's a possibility, we're told, that some of the events may have been moved indoors. Some of the field events may have been moved to the indoor venue because of pretty heavy rain this afternoon. So we'll take a short pause and come back in about 2 or 3 minutes with the men's 110-meter hurdles.
Jeremy Smith of Spring Arbor. Coach Jeremy Smith of Spring Arbor to the announcer stand, please. Thank you.
What would be nice? I was afraid to be like 6 minutes, afraid to talk to me.
I know, I didn't go that way either. I was like,
But right as I got through Landis, we were about 45 through Landis, and it was this. I was like, you know, the white things, I swear to you, yeah. And it took the lights off. So I thought it was Jason called back to court. And I was thinking, I know I was good. I used to turn around and come get me. You were saying, "Somebody's catching me." blazing away for you. That's what
It usually is. They're usually right on this one to die. I didn't know that.
I missed it when Indiana Wesleyan. I walked in. I was
We got popcorn. He missed it. He was getting popcorn.
Was it at least good popcorn?
I did it once and I finished it once. You know, this actually got me someplace. You know, they'll be just a little bit behind schedule. And they were not. That's 2 minutes that I
Getting ready now for the men's 110-meter hurdles. Let's give you in Heat 1, Lane 2, Sebastian Bim, Spring Arbor. Lane 3, Justin Edwards, Huntington. Lane 4, Sam Barnett, Marion. Lane 5, Cameron Worsham, Huntington, and they're off. Lane 6, Spring Arbor, Zach Lamphere, Caleb Anthony, number 7 of Taylor, Carson Bollinger from Bethel. In lane 8, come down the stretch.
Okay. So that's a little bit of time. Okay, I thought that had to like.
Looks like Anthony
Your
Taylor,
winner was Anthony Taylor
or
in
Caleb
lane 7.
Anthony, check that, of Taylor. Instead of Anthony
Winning
Taylor, it'd
time
be
of
Caleb Anthony of Taylor.
14.89.
14.89.
Here are your entrants for heat number 2 of the men's
That.
110-meter hurdles. Lane 2, Kahn of Marion. Lane 3, Groff of
See
Indiana
Anthony with a
Wesleyan.
good lead there
Lane 4, Mitchell
in this
of Marion.
heat, not having
Lane
to
5,
stretch
Myers
it out
of Marion.
significantly more
Lane 6,
before he
Griffith
gets
of
to
Bethel.
his finals.
Lane 7, Slank of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 8, Sage of Spring Arbor.
And you can also see in our feed there, rain alternates between, I call it a heavy drizzle, to a downright downpour. But we have learned from covering these in the past, you generally will not have a delay unless there is lightning. So we'll be taking a look at the forecast a little bit later today, maybe with some chance of thunderstorms, but right now it looks like most of that stuff is staying south of Grant County. Get you ready now for heat number 2 of the prelims in the men's 110-meter hurdle. They'll be lining up shortly. We'll give you those names in just a moment. Right now we'll drop in on the discus. Can't see the mark there. That competition goes on and on and on. We can just guess from what we're observing what makes a good throw. Hopefully if you're following the women's discus, you'll see someone you know.
Just join in.
Now in Heat 2, lane 2, Musa Kandi of Marion, Parker Groff of Indiana Wesleyan, lane 4, Nicholas Mitchell of Marion, 5, Caleb Myers of Marion, lane 6, Ezra Griffith of Bethel, lane 7, Christian Slank of Indiana Wesleyan, lane 8, Micah Sage of Spring Arbor. Heat 2 of the preliminary rounds for the men's 110-meter hurdles. For Condi of Marion to get the top seeding in here. Not out to the early start though. Looks like that's a win for, let's see, Bethel's Ezra
Officially,
Griffith.
your winner in that heat was Ezra Griffith of Bethel.
15:38. 15:38 for Esther Griffith, which It's a lower mark than what he scored for and or what he qualified for. And
So Griffith of Bethel, Anthony and
looks
Taylor,
like
and the
Condi
next
of
seven
Marion,
best
who had the
times will
top
be advancing to the
speed
final.
coming in, did make third in
Third
that,
and
so
final
he'll move
call
on.
for the women's 4x800 meter relay. Third
Good
and
run
final
for
call,
Ezra Griffith
women's
of
4x800 meter relay. Second call, women's 100 meter dash. Second call, women's 100 meter dash. First call, men's 100 meter dash. First call, men's 100 meter dash. Next running event on the track will be the women's 4x800 meter relay. The NAIA qualifying standard is 9:24. The B standard is 9:29. Meet record for the Crossroads League meet was established last year by the Lady Trojans of Taylor University with a clocking of 9:10.14. Here are your entrants in lane number 1, Taylor. Lane number 2, Indiana Wesleyan. Lane number 3, Huntington. Lane number 4, Spring Arbor. Lane number 4, Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane number 6, Marion. Lane number 7, Grace. Lane number 8, Bethel. Lane number 9, St. Francis.
Now we're getting ready for the women's 4x800 relay, our first final of the running events. Give you real quickly, lane 1 is Taylor. They won this last year. Lane 2, Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 3,
again,
Huntington.
Taylor, lane 1,
lane
Indiana
4,
Wesleyan.
Spring
Lane 2,
Arbor. Lane
Huntington.
5,
Lane 3,
Mount
Spring
Vernon
Arbor.
Nazarene.
Lane
Lane
4,
6,
Mount Vernon
Marion.
Nazarene.
Lane
5,
7, Grace.
Marion.
Lane
6,
8, Bethel.
Grace. Lane 7,
and lane
Bethel.
9,
Lane
St.
8,
Francis.
St. Francis, lane 9.
So at least based on qualifying times, this looks to be a competition between lanes 1 and 2. Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. So a Grant County rivalry played out here, and this again is the final. So whoever wins this wins it, and also positions themselves again for NAIA action. So we'll be looking at lane 1 and lane 2 for sure as we come down the stretch. We'll give you those runners in order. For Taylor will be Blagg. Number 2, Abby Brennan. Number 3, Marjorie Crosby. And then Anna Sousis running the closing leg of that. For Indiana Wesleyan, Kendra Frieden first, Jill Van Dyke second, Erica Stuntsman 3, and the closing leg, Jessica Sprinkles. So with a few instructions now, they will get themselves in position for the handoffs. And this will be an early action for us. We'll actually see some awards here because this is, as we said, a final. Most of the running events that we'll see today will be preliminary heats. A couple of these things are going to be final. So they get one shot, and there you go. 1, 2, and 3 seeds, Taylor, Indiana Wesleyan, and Huntington. Taylor won this event last year in the Crossroads League matchup. And the Crossroads League outdoor record now is held by Taylor with a mark of 9, 10, and 14/100ths. So, should be an interesting run. Don't know if weather is a factor. The rain isn't super heavy right now. We've got a little bit of clearing. Some of these runners like the rain, some of them do not. 4 by 800 meter relay, so each of these ladies will do 2 laps.
I think we're gonna go. I think. Well, I'm trying,
Will be interesting to see
I did. I was
what
painting
kind of
out
strategies these teams run. See who goes out early.
I don't know. I don't think we told her
Runners
about
to
that.
their
They
marks.
probably did tell her. I got that like the cue yesterday. Oh, it's Tammy? I know.
Again, we expect lanes 1, 2, and 3 to be interesting. The closest times potentially between Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan. Taylor in lane 1, Indiana Wesleyan lane 2.
Another girl came and turned the light switch on and it did it again and I'm like, oh no, what is going on? So we had to call him to come and figure out. We didn't know what was
On your mark.
Clean start, and we are off the 4 by 800 relay final. As they close the gap from the starting lag. See the runner from Taylor taking an early lead on the inside lane on lane 1. Big long strides there for Rachel Blagg of Taylor. No surprise there. Looks like Kendra Frieden of Indiana Wesleyan right there at 2. So they seem to be 1, 2, and 3 at this point. They'll come around as single file as they can. Looks like Blagg of Taylor still in the 1 position. A little bit of closing there by St. Francis. Surprise, no qualifying time there for Hernandez of St. Francis. Right now, number 2, number 3, Huntington. As it looks like Jessica Chongnacki of Huntington is trying to keep pace with the leaders at this point. Coming around now and trying to get some kind of closure. Rachel Blagg putting some distance between herself and the runner from St. Francis. Again, no qualifying times listed for St. Francis. So whatever they produce might be a surprise. See how this goes as they come around for the first handoff. Blagg will hand off to Abby Brennan of Taylor. Blagg sets the early pace. Looks like Hernandez of St. Francis is still back there in the 2nd position with Chongnacki of Huntington trying to close, but really fading. So the handoff now is clean. Blagg hands off to Abby Brennan. St. Francis clean handoff. And they come out Huntington 3, Indiana Wesleyan 4. Kendra Frieden hands off to Jill Van Dyke. And now she has some work to do as Huntington, I believe that's Huntington, maybe Mount Vernon making a move there. So Indiana Wesleyan drops to 5 in that with Taylor with a long gap now, way out in front. So this is something of what we expected with Taylor going out very, very fast. They had at least 3 seconds of qualifying seating ahead of Indiana Wesleyan. So no surprise there, just the surprise will be can they sustain this through all 4 runners. So Abby Brennan from Taylor now with a comfortable lead. And it looks like St. Francis and Huntington close from the 2 and 3 spot. That is Huntington. Brennan's going to get a comfortable handoff. Well, she's coming around for the second one. St. Francis still in second. Huntington, and then Mount Vernon fighting for that fourth position, maybe trying to take some position there on Huntington. So the big surprise here maybe is St. Francis, as Samantha Whistle of St. Francis holds the second position. But Taylor is out, showing why it holds the record and showing why it won this event last year at the Crossroads League tournament. So Taylor by a long mile. St. Francis, it looks like Huntington and Mount Vernon, they're both in green, so it's hard to tell, fighting for that third spot, and they're pacing each other very, very closely as we come back for another handoff. Abby Brennan of Taylor will hand off to Marjorie Crosby. Taylor is very, very much in comfortable position. St. Francis right now comfortably in number 2. So handoff to Taylor. Marjorie Crosby now will do her 2 laps. St. Francis a handoff, whistle to Grace Cooper. And Huntington still in that third position with Mount Vernon, Bethel, and Indiana Wesleyan all very, very close. Slipped a little bit there on the handoff, no fault, but lost a little bit of pace there. And now Indiana Wesleyan's, that looks to be Erica Stutzman taking position there on Mount Vernon for the 3 spot, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the 4 spot. 4 spot, and she's closing. So Erica Stutzman of Indiana Wesleyan is running full out, trying to close that gap, make up a little bit of ground for Indiana Wesleyan. As we come back through here, Marjorie Crosby of Taylor has 0 competition. She's going to run another lap practically by herself. All of the race, all of the competition there is for 2, 3, and 4 spots, and a great closing leg by Erica Stutzman of Indiana Wesleyan. She's going to move into the 2 position, now taking it on Molly Mitchell of Huntington. Crosby went out very, very fast in her first leg. Let's see what she has left in this second position for second place. Nobody challenging Taylor right now for first place, but Indiana Wesleyan now looking, they're looking like they're trying to get in position for the second place, which is what their seating would say they would compete for, but Huntington is not going to give that up easily. Marjorie Crosby coming around for Taylor. Still comfortable position. And we'll come into the home stretch as Crosby comes down. She hands to Anna Sousis of Taylor. Crosby to Sousis. Taylor's now just going for time, not really competing with anyone. Solid competition there for Taylor, but Indiana Wesleyan, Erica Stutzman with a great third leg. She hands off to her partner Jessica Sprinkles and puts her in good position for second place. But Huntington seems to want that. So Huntington has Aspen Durer. Aspen Durer is trying to close there on Sprinkles. But does she have enough to get the 2 spot from Indiana Wesleyan? No competition. Anna Sousis is going to win this for Taylor unless she falls. But lots of close competition there for 2 and 3 between Indiana Wesleyan and Huntington. Now it looks like Sprinkles is getting a little more separation for Indiana Wesleyan, where Durer for Huntington was starting off very fast trying to close that. It looks like it must be Grace there, but that's actually a lap behind the runner in red. So now we say Sousis comes in with 1 lap to go, and Jessica Sprinkles looking very strong for her final lap. Huntington, Aspen Durer really looks tired coming down that last stretch. Sprinkles probably has this if she can just maintain the pace. Durer looks tired. Anna Sousis doesn't look tired at all. Now it's a question for Taylor of what kind of time mark do they get. They're going to win this Crossroads League competition for this event, but now they're looking at what they can do for the NAIA Nationals later this month. And the big race, as we've been talking here, it looks like Anna Sousis is fading down the stretch, and Jessica Sprinkles has come all the way back on Taylor while Anna Sousis has faded. So now Jessica Sprinkles very sharp when it looked like Taylor had this thing by half the track. Jessica Sprinkles with an incredible 2 laps. She wins for Indiana Wesleyan 9:12.98, unofficially 9:12.98. That's not a record, but it is probably the strongest time Indiana Wesleyan has posted all year. And what a come from behind. It was so far away from us, we almost missed it here, as you were paying attention. But Jessica Sprinkles with incredible closing speed on her 2 laps, passing Anna Sousis and winning this for Indiana Wesleyan. What a great final as we are barely 30 minutes into this competition today. Congratulations to Indiana Wesleyan for posting probably their best time all season.
Congratulations to the ladies from Indiana Wesleyan, Crossroads League champions in the 4x8 with a winning time of 9:12. Third and final call for the women's 100-meter dash. Third and final call, women's 100-meter dash. Second call, men's 100-meter dash. Second call, men's 100-meter dash. First call, men's 4x800-meter relay. First call, men's 4x800-meter relay. Our next running event on the track will be the women's 100-meter dash. The NAIA A standard is 11.98. The B standard is 12.12. Kerry has the record in this event since way back in 2013 with the clocking of
Here's that close now.
11.92.
Indiana Wesleyan as Sprinkles takes Taylor on the back stretch. This was the last half of her last lap, and she just had all the energy that Sousis of Taylor did not.
Lane 2, Johnson of Spring Arbor. Lane 3, Meadows of Huntington. Lane 4, Campbell of Grace. Lane 5, Sycophus of Grace. Lane 5, Saka of Taylor. Lane 7, Burton of Marion. And lane 8, Spiller of Spring Arbor.
All right, we're getting ready now for the first of our preliminary heats, 3 of them in the women's 100 meters. We'll give you the starting assignments here. In lane 2, Shekinah Johnson of Spring Arbor. Lane 3, Taia Meadows of Huntington. Lane 4, Nordia Campbell of Grace. Lane 5, Suzanne Sycophus of Grace. Lane 6, Plencite Seca, who we've already seen with a great mark in the hurdles. And she will be in lane 6. Lane 7, Jocelyn Burton of Marion. And lane 8, Kirsten Spiller of Spring Arbor. This is the men's 100 meters coming in momentarily. Women 100 meters, women's preliminary heat coming up now as we move on through this Crossroads League final. Would like to hear from you if you are watching this afternoon on this live stream. We'd love to hear from you. WIWUTV@gmail.com. Clean start now in the 100 meters. Runner from Marion out very, very fast. And the runner from Marion, or let's see, that's Marion, yeah. Good start for her. That is Jocelyn Burton. 12:37 unofficially. And she did come in with the strongest qualifying time.
Entrance in heat number 2, lane 2, Schoolman of Bethel. Lane 3, Bam of Spring Arbor. Lane 4, Clepinger of Indiana.
Now we'll get you ready for heat number 2. Lane 2, Schoolman of Bethel. Lane 3, Bem of Spring Arbor. Lane 4, Clepinger of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 5, Gaydon of Marion. Lane 6, Lydia Stout of Spring Arbor. 7, Klein from Taylor. Lane 8, Lugubi of Grace. And lane 9, Simmons of Marion. Heat 2 of the preliminary matches now. We'll look at the end of that. Heat 1. As Jocelyn Burton of Marion comes out with a very strong time, not her best, but this is just a heat. She'll be saving that. Some of these events away from our cameras, we're running on the other side of the track, presumably because of wind. But we'll get ready now for heat 2 of the women's 100. Clean start, heat 2. Indiana Wesleyan's Clepinger out very strong for the heat, and she breaks the tape. Let's see, what was her mark? Clepinger of Indiana Wesleyan, the freshman, 12.33 unofficially.
Unofficially, that was Clepinger of Indiana Wesleyan, the winner of heat number 2 in 12.33. Entrance in heat number 3 of the women's 100 meters.
For context on this, the Crossroads League outdoor record for the 100, 11.92, held by Taylor in 2013. Of course, you won't see probably records set for one of these prelims as the runners save themselves for the finals.
And lane number 9, Osborne of Mount Vernon Nazarene.
The weather is clearing up a bit. If you're in Grant County area or anywhere close and you'd like to drive into Marion today or tomorrow, events start at 11 a.m. If you're a track fan, come on in, enjoy this Crossroads League competition. A lot of these athletes will be at the NAIA Nationals later this month in Alabama. See that 100 again. There you see Clepinger of Indiana Wesleyan, the freshman, going out very strong, way ahead of the pack, but probably not all that she's capable of back in the heat. We will continue to drop in from time to time on some of the field events. We can't always see the numbers of these athletes, so hopefully if you're watching at home and you're looking for a particular track or field athlete, you know who you're looking for. And we'll be coming back most of the time to the track events as they go on, so you do not miss any of those. A couple of events probably switched to the indoor venue where we don't have cameras. Long jump, pole vault, all taking place, we're guessing, at the Troyer Fieldhouse. Here we go, lane 3, or heat 3. Lane 2, Dana Kay of Taylor. Lane 3, Alex McFarland of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 4, McKinnon of St. Francis. Lane 5, Weber of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 6, Emery of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 7, Kendall of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 8, Mills of Marion. And Lane 9, Osborne of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Keep your eye on Lane 3, McFarland of Indiana Wesleyan, one of the best qualifying times coming in. It does alternate a little bit between wet and chilly here as the front goes through, so athletes trying to stay warm, I think, in between their competitions. Clean start. Heat 3, women's preliminary, the 100. Strong pace there set by McFarland of Indiana Wesleyan. We expected her to have one of the best times coming in, and she did win that particular heat. We'll get her time here in a moment. 12.4 for McFarland. She's posted a 12.27 to qualify for this event, so she was the top seed in that and does in the heat continue on that pace. So that's the women 100 meters, their prelims. We'll come back and see more of that later as they move towards their finals. Next event, the men's 100 meters coming up here in about 2 or 3 minutes. Men 100 meters. See what kind of times our men post. Same event. Okay, in lane 2, Noah Cole of Grace. Lane 3, Stanford of Taylor. Lane 4, Mitchell of Bethel. Lane 5, Sapkota of Goshen. Lane 6, Pierman of Marion. Lane 7, Young of Bethel. Lane 8, Shield of Grace. The men's 100 meter, they will have 4 heats. Here's the end of that last heat for the women.
Top finisher in each heat, and the next 5 best times will advance to the finals. Here are your entrants for heat number 1.
We have 4 preliminary heats for the men.
Lane 3, Stanford of Taylor. Lane
the
4,
100.
Mitchell of Bethel. Lane 5, Sapkota of Goshen. Lane 6, Pierman of Marion. Lane 7, Young of Bethel. And lane 8, Shealy of Grace.
You get some idea there of what it looks like shooting through the rain. Can't really tell if that's fog on our lens or just the impact of the rain looking from such a distance from the camera, but you get an idea that this rain, although not too heavy to stop things, is pretty significant. And we can see it puddling here in certain areas of our track. Men's 100 meter first heat. Clean start as the men take off. Looking at Pierman there of Marion out with the quick start. But right beside him, Jordan Young of Bethel. Looks like Pierman does have the win in that particular heat. He did have the best time coming in as 10.86. Right now he gets a 10.72, so better than his qualifying time 10.72 for Marion Pierman. Name to watch as we move on towards the finals.
Here are your entrants for heat number 2 in lane 2. Miranda Marty of Goshen. Lane number 3.
That was a quick heat. If you see on the replay, Pierman was being pushed by his challenger there from Bethel, so he goes out very strong. Runs a very, very good time.
Lane 7, Gilkey St. Francis. And lane number 8, Piersma of Spring Arbor.
All right, we'll get ready now for Heat 2 of the men's 100. We'll call the lanes out to you. Lane 2, Martinez of Goshen. Lane 3, Bodenhammer of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 4, Creighton II of Marion. Lane 5, Hamer of Marion. Lane 6, Bronner of Grace. Lane 7, Gilkey of St. Francis. Lane 8, Piersma, Spring Arbor. Top time in this group, right in the middle, Hamer of Marion at a 10.9. So keep the eyes on the middle for the yellow and blue in this heat to see what kind of times they post in this heat. You had a 10.7 in the previous heat. Bit of a surprise. Heat 2, men's 100 meter. Clean start. Men's 100 meter second heat. Looks like Hamer of Marion is going to lead it, and it looks like his teammate, Charles Creighton II, came in second. That particular heat. We'll get a time here in a moment. 10.75, so some fast qualifying times, fast heats for both of these. And Creighton was under 11 also, his teammate at 10.92. So a couple of 10.7s in qualifying.
Here are your entrants in heat number 3 of men's 100 meter dash, lane 2.
Again, the outdoor record for the Crossroads League is 10.58.
Lane 4, Ross of St. Francis. Lane number 5, Tarak of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 6, Wu of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 7, Wise of Spring Arbor. Lane 8, Ramsey of Marion.
Again, we welcome you this afternoon to Indiana Wesleyan University's coverage of the Crossroads League track and field. We would like to hear from you. You can post a comment if you're watching on Facebook. You can send us an email, wiwutv@gmail.com. That's just all those letters run together, wiwutv@gmail.com. And that will just let us know you're watching, enjoying. Comments, observations, all welcome. Happy to be here. Happy to be actually in a dry broadcast booth. Can't say that for all of our camera positions. But I guess given the weather in other parts of the state, it could be a lot worse. It is wet, but it is not stormy. Getting ready for Heat 3 of 4 of the preliminaries in the men's 100. Standing by for the runners to get to their marks. Here we go. Ellis, lane 2, lane 3, Forker, St. Francis, lane 4, Ross of St. Francis, lane 5, Torek of Indiana Wesleyan, lane 6, Wu of Indiana Wesleyan, lane 7, Wise of Spring Arbor, lane 8, Ramsey Jr. of Marion. Heat 3, you've got Indiana Wesleyan clustered in the middle at 5 and 6. Fastest time, number 5 of Indiana Wesleyan, a 10.99, and Ramsey of Marion at a 10.94. We've seen both heats. Runners go to 10.7. We'll see what we get with this one. Looks like Marion's out strong right at the first, but Indiana Wesleyan's closing there, and Marion gets the win and the qualifying. Probably Ramsey Jr. Yeah, Ramsey Jr. of Marion. 10 will get his time here in a moment. These are just qualifying times for the preliminary heats. Ramsey of Marion, 10.87. So after a couple of heats with 10.7s posted, Ramsey wins that one with a 10.87.
Unofficially, your winner was Benjamin
His
Wise.
qualifying
of
time,
Spring
his
Arbor.
seeding time coming in
Time
was a
of 10.87.
10.94. So we've seen some pretty fast times for these heats.
Fourth
I
and
look
final
forward to the
heat,
final
men's
tomorrow.
100-meter dash
There's the
trials.
replay. You
Lane
see
number 2,
Ramsey
Jones of Bethel. Lane number 3,
closing there.
Lampier of Spring Arbor.
Looks like Torek
Lane
of
number
Indiana
4,
Wesleyan set a
Randall
good
of
pace,
Indiana
came in
Wesleyan.
second.
Lane 5, Goldsmith, St. Francis. Lane 6, Barrow of Huntington. Lane
Randall
7,
with the
Mitchell,
win.
Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 8, Amin of Bethel. Lane 9, Barnett, Mount Vernon Nazarene.
It's wetter than it looks on that wide shot, but I may actually be seeing something approximating sunlight peeking through. This time of year in Indiana, we'll take whatever we can get.
Well, those three specifically do better when there's someone.
As we get ready for Heat 4 now of the preliminaries in the men's 100. Your lane 2 will be Corey Jones of Bethel. Lane 3, Lampier of Spring Arbor. Lane 4, Randall, Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 5, Goldsmith of St. Francis. Lane 6, Barrow of Huntington. Lane 7, Mitchell, Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 8, Amin of Bethel. Lane 9, Barnett of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Top seeding time for this group, tied by Barrow of Huntington and Jones of Bethel. Jones in lane 2 with Bethel. Barrow of Huntington is right in the middle on lane 6. All these competitors trying to get a good enough mark to move on. Winning the race is nice, but doesn't matter until it's final. Clean start and we're off. Lane Heat 4, men's 100. Looks like a great closing the speed there by Bethel, if I'm reading that right. Yeah, Bethel's Jones, I think. That was Jones. The mark there, 10.83. 10.83 unofficially for Jones. Barrow of Huntington, 10.95 in second. So these competitors will move on to the next round. the men's 100. We'll check that schedule, let you know when that's coming later. But most of the finals in these running events will be tomorrow on Friday. We start coverage at 11 a.m. Next event up is the men's 4x800 relay. That will be a final, just as we saw the women's final. So they'll be lining up right up here in front of our broadcast booth momentarily, tentatively for a 2:55 start. So right now the tournament just a few minutes off schedule, with 4 heats for the men, 5 heats or 3 heats for the women in the 100. Kind of packed that section, but probably will be able to get back on schedule at this point.
Lane 4, Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 5, Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 6, St. Francis. Lane 7, Huntington. Lane 8, Bethel. Lane 9, Goshen. And lane 10, Taylor.
All right, as the teams line up, we'll give you the positions, let you know that the Crossroads League outdoor record in this event is a 7:37.14, held by Marion just last year. We will have Marion in lane 1, Spring Arbor in lane 2. They are seeded by qualifying times. Grace in lane 3, Indiana Wesleyan lane 4. Lane 5, Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 6, St. Francis. Lane 7, Huntington. Lane 8, Bethel. Lane 9, Goshen. And lane 10 will be Taylor. We'll be watching this one closely as Marion has the outdoor record for the Crossroads League last year. Last year, Marion posted a 7:37, qualifies this year with a 7:48. Your top 3 teams, Marion, Spring Arbor, and Grace by seeding. And Marion a good 5 minutes, or 5 seconds, check that, 5 seconds ahead in the qualifying times. Grouping's a little different for these starters because of all the teams competing, and a good clean start.
Off and running in the men's
We'll watch the
4x800
inside lane as
relay.
Marion, Spring Arbor, and Grace are 1, 2, and 3. Again, men's 4x800, so each athlete will complete two rounds on the track. Belenchon of Marion, your early leader. No surprise there. As they come around after one lap. Very close grouping at this point. Belenchon of Marion, number 1, Huntington 2, Grace 3, Indiana Wesleyan 4. Those are the ones we saw. We'll see on this second lap if Marion gets some distance there on the rest of the field. Belenchon appears to be doing just that as they come around about halfway through. Spring Arbor making a move there. It looks like Feldposh of Spring Arbor making a move into the number 2 position. Indiana Wesleyan, Austin Miller making a move, challenging there for number 2. They'll come around for the first handoff. So right now, Belanchon of Marion out in front, but not far. And as we saw with the last women's 4x800, those gaps can be made up. Handoff now to Marion. Indiana Wesleyan 2, Taylor 3. Taylor jumps up from the 10 position there at that handoff to Ben Bird, and now Taylor's in third after no qualifying time being posted for this 4x800. So don't know if that's a quirk in scheduling or scoring or what, but Taylor's kind of surprising there as Taylor goes out to the third position. Spring Arbor now in fourth. Carrying now is Nathan Bliley for Marion in the number 1 spot, but he has not separated himself significantly from the field. While Adrian Howard of Indiana Wesleyan is comfortably in second as they come up for a second lap. Marion, Indiana Wesleyan, Taylor, Spring Arbor, and lots of grouping there once you get past top 3. Bliley of Marion a little bit out in front, but not comfortably so. Adrian Howard of Indiana Wesleyan is just pouring it on as he comes in with the second lap. He's comfortably moving ahead in the second position. But after blowing the call on that last one for the women, I'm not going to say any of these leads is comfortable. But it's Marion and Indiana Wesleyan out in front of the groups as they come back for the second handoff and the halfway point of this race. Nathan Bliley doing everything he can, but Adrian Howard now taking the lead for Indiana Wesleyan as he hands off. Handing off to Stephen Ott for Indiana Wesleyan. Indiana Wesleyan is out in front with Marion closing. Sebastian Buckeridge of Marion. Stephen Ott of Indiana Wesleyan took that handoff, took the lead, but now a lot of challenge there from Sebastian Buckeridge. Closing in on him, and we've got a race for 1 and 2. Ott and Buckeridge, Indiana Wesleyan and Marion. Far in the number 3 spot. That looks like Huntington, but I'm not certain. Ott comes up for another lap. Buckeridge is still challenging. That is Huntington in the 3 spot with Elijah Chesterman far back from the field. So far, Buckeridge not able to take Ott, but he's pacing him very closely. Stephen Ott running a great third leg here as Indiana Wesleyan took the lead right at the handoff, but now Ott is falling back, so Buckeridge did have something left as he takes it back, and now we'll set up for a very, very interesting final couple of laps here. Stephen Ott went out very, very fast. He's keeping pace with Buckeridge. Trying to find a little more kick. Ott still a little bit back, but he's getting ahead. And it looks like we're going to have almost neck and neck here as we go into the last athlete. Ott came back on Bliley. And now the handoff to Indiana Wesleyan. A strong takeoff by Chad Ellens for Indiana Wesleyan, but Marcus Fierick of Marion also looking very, very strong after his handoff. And we've got 2 laps to see who's going to win this for the Crossroads League. A very close match. For the women, it was IWU and Taylor. And Taylor led all the way until the back lap. We'll see what happens with this one between Indiana Wesleyan and Marion. 2 Crossroads League rivals who are competitive in many, many different areas of competition. And right now, they are right on pace at the 1 and 2 spot. Right now, Chad Ellens of Indiana Wesleyan being challenged by Fierick of Marion. Fierick getting a little bit of a lead as they go into their last lap. See what Chad Ellens has left for Indiana Wesleyan. Marcus Fierick for Marion takes the lead. Marion has had this competition. They won it last year. They've set the pace. They've set a Crossroads League record. And now we'll see right now if Chad Ellens for Indiana Wesleyan has something left as he comes down to the last half of his last lap. Ellens still looks strong, but Fierick does as well. Chad Ellens is going to have to take him now in the next 2 or 3 seconds, probably. But Fierick is not giving that lead up. As they come down there now, Ellens looks like he's got a final kick. He's trying to take him. They're coming down to the stretch. This is going to be close. This is going to be close. Marion and Indiana Wesleyan, Chad Ellens gives it his last gumption, and it looks like he has got it for Indiana Wesleyan. A great run for Fierick and Chad Ellens towards the end. The competitors exchanging handshakes. What a great finish for Indiana Wesleyan against Marion. The two brought out the best of each other team-wise. Unofficially, we'll get a time here. I'm hearing in the booth here that Indiana Wesleyan may have just missed a record by 0.4 of a second. 737.96. 737.96 for Indiana Wesleyan.
Indiana Wesleyan's winning time of 7:36.
Almost a new Crossroads League record. Just misses the all-time Crossroads League record. So an incredible finish for Indiana Wesleyan in the 4x800. They took it halfway through the race. It went back and forth, and then Chad Ellens with that great finish for Indiana Wesleyan.
Women's 200-meter dash. Second call, men's 200-meter dash. Second call, men's 200-meter dash.
Here's that finish. Marion, Indiana Wesleyan. And they're just at the end. Chad Ellens taking it for the Indiana Wesleyan University Wildcats. A great race run by Marion as well. Marcus Fierick. They were both pushing each other, and can't ask for more than that on one of your first finals in your league championship. Stay with us. Next up, the women's 200-meter preliminary finals on the Crossroads League Outdoor Track and Field Championships.
Established in 2006 by Young with a clocking of 2.67. Heat number 1, lane 2, Balson of Grace, lane 3, Wood of Taylor, lane 4, Wright, Indiana Wesleyan, lane 5, Cole of St. Francis, lane 6, Clementon of Indiana Wesleyan, lane 7, McFarland of Indiana Wesleyan, and lane 8, McNeil of Spring Arbor.
Okay, we are getting ready now for the first of 4 heats in the women's 200.
Here are your finalists in the women's 100-meter
as the
hurdles.
athletes get ready
Tomorrow,
to
the finals will be Tuttle of
get in
Bethel,
position,
Spencer
get
of
their
Bethel,
final
Bechtel of
instructions.
Indiana Wesleyan,
We'll give you the
Ruby
lane
of Mount
assignments
Vernon Nazarene,
as soon as we get a shot of them so you can see who we're talking about.
Saka of Taylor, Mills of Marion, Machino of Spring Arbor, Richardson of Indiana Wesleyan, and Wright
Women's
of Indiana
200
Wesleyan.
meter, heat 1 will have in lane 2 Mouston of Grace, lane 3 Miriam Wood of Taylor, lane 4 Wright of Indiana Wesleyan, lane 5 Cole St. Francis, lane 6 Kleppinger Indiana Wesleyan, lane 7 McFarland Indiana Wesleyan, lane 8 McNeil of Spring Arbor.
Griffith of Bethel, Lafayette of Spring Arbor, Mitchell of Marion, and Bollinger of Bethel, your finalists in the men's 110-meter hurdle finals tomorrow.
We will have 4 heats in the preliminaries of the 200. As you can see, they are starting in a different position than the 100.
In the men's 100-meter
They will
dash
still be running
tomorrow,
counterclockwise, as you see on your cameras, starting right up here in front of the reviewing booth, and then heading out from there to the finish line on the other side of the track.
Finalists in the men's 100-meter dash finals tomorrow. And your finalists tomorrow in the women's 100-meter dash, Klein of Taylor, Mills of Marion, Saka of Taylor, McFarland of Indiana Wesleyan, Kleppinger Indiana Wesleyan, Burton of Marion, Emory Mount Vernon Nazarene, Simmons of Marion, and Campbell of Grace.
I can't see
Finalists in the
anything,
women's
so you just
100-meter
have to tell
dash
me.
tomorrow at race at 1 p.m.
Oh, okay. Will that be on? Women's 200 meters, the first of 4 heats.
On your mark.
We'll be watching for McFarland of Indiana Wesleyan with the fastest qualifying time coming in here. She will be in lane 7 on your right as they're lining up now. Outdoor record for the Crossroads League is a 24.67. Clean start. Farland starts out strong. We expected that. She posted a 2:05.51 coming into this competition. She's clearly way out in front here. Good, strong finish as she comes around. And it looks like McFarland is your winner there for Indiana Wesleyan. We'll get a time here in a moment. 25.33 for McFarland, 25.33. She posted a 2:05.51 to qualify for her seating position. We expected her to lead the heat, and indeed she did. Alex McFarland, the sophomore from Indiana Wesleyan.
Lane number 2, Roth of Bethel. Lane 3, Kunkel
Again, most of the
Bethel.
running
Lane
matches
4,
will have finals
McKinnon of St.
tomorrow.
Francis. Lane number 5,
We already have finals
Rudy of Mount Vernon
posted
Nazarene.
for the
Lane 6,
women's
Campbell of
100
Grace.
meter, which will be
Lane
tomorrow
7,
approximately
Simmons of Marion,
12:20.
and Lane 8, Spiller of
All the
Spring
things that
Arbor.
we have seen already posted for preliminaries. Let's give you lane assignments for Heat 2 now of these preliminaries in the 200. Lane 2, Emily Roth of Bethel. Lane 3, Kayla Kunkel of Bethel. Lane 4, Emily McKinnon of St. Francis. Lane 5, Vivian Katrupi of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 6, Nordia Campbell of Grace. Lane 7, Chelsea Simmons of Marion. Lane 8, Kirsten Spiller of Spring Arbor. Top qualifying time in this heat, 25.41. That would be Chelsea Simmons of Marion, and she will be running in lane 7. Right now, she's the only one there on the right. Don't seem to see Spiller of Spring Arbor. Clean start. Simmons of Marion out strong, but a challenge there from the freshman from Grace, Campbell, in the 2 spot as they come down the straightaway. Simmons of Marion looks to still be in good, strong position. And it looks like the competitor from Bethel, was that Kunkel? Guessing that was Kayla Kunkel from Bethel, maybe got the mark there. We'll get a time in a moment. Nope, Simmons from Marion did post a 2:5.89. So Simmons from Marion 1, Roth from Bethel 2, and Grace Campbell 3rd.
Here are your entrants in
Or
the
check
third
that,
heat.
Nordia Campbell of Grace was 3rd
Lane number
on that
2,
one.
Burton of Marion. Lane 3, Lugaville of Grace. Lane number 4, Collier of Goshen. Lane
And
5,
we don't know
Burton
what
of Marion.
wind conditions
Lane
will be
6,
like tomorrow.
Donna
We
of
hope
Indiana Wesleyan.
they'll be running
Lane
in the more
7,
conventional
Winters of
positions,
Spring
and we can
Arbor.
give you better
Lane 8,
camera
Williams of
finishes
Grace.
here for this. Right now, they're running on the opposite side of the track. Conditions warranting that, so they're not finishing in front of the grandstand, as is the normal policy where we have our best camera position so you can see those finishes. Heat 3 now. Lane 2 will be Jada Burton of Marion. Lane 3, Lugbeal of Grace. 4, Collier of Goshen. 5, Burton of Marion. 6, Duna of Indiana Wesleyan. 7, Winters of Spring Arbor. 8, Williams of Grace. Jocelyn Burton of Marion, right in the middle in lane 4, best qualifying time. Or check that, Jada Burton of Marion, right on the inside. So look for Burton there on lane 1. Perhaps to come around. She's got the best seating time, but her teammate in the middle for Marion, Burton, is strong, but both Burtons for Marion looks like they will go 1-2, running together. And I'm just looking. They're both freshmen. They could be twins. I'm just with my someone from Marion may want to email us and let us know. They look like twins, and they look like twins as they're running too, because they're both very, very strong there. So it's a Burton finish. .11 is all that separates them on that qualifying heat. So Marion goes 1-2 in that. I think that's got to be the Burton twins. My eyes aren't that old yet. Congratulations to them in that heat. We'll see them both in the finals. Jada and Jocelyn. If those aren't twins, then that's some kind of special effect in our production truck. It's
On your mark.
duplicative. But they have some interesting family competitions with that kind of speed. Heat 4, Klein of Taylor, lane 2. Lane 3, Sekua of Taylor. Lane 4, Meadows of Huntington. Lane 5, Osborne, Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 6, Emory of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 7, Gibson of Marion. Lane 8, Glaze of Spring Arbor.
Set.
Top time, Taylor Meadows of Huntington, top qualifying, check that. That may be Klein of Taylor with the top qualifying time. Right now we'll see how they close, but it looks like Marion's out strong. Raven Gibson in lane 7 with one of the best times, and she's going to qualify strong here, so we'll see a lot of Marion in the finals of this 100. Looks like Raven Gibson, a junior, posts the top time in that heat with a 2.547. 2.547 for Gibson of Marion.
That final heat. Your
So
winner
there you
was
have your
Gibson,
4 heats.
Raven Gibson of Marion in 25.47.
That sets us up
Third
for a
and
pretty
final
strong
call
final
for the men's 200
with
meter
lots of
dash.
Marion
Third and
competitors,
final
I'm
call,
guessing.
men's 200 meter dash.
Marion
Second
shows
call,
lots of
women's
speed in this
10,000
competition
meter run.
already here in
Second
day
call,
1.
women's 10,000 meter run. First call, men's 10,000 meter run.
So we'll take a break and
Next running event on the track will be the men's 200
get
meter
ready for the
dash.
men's 200 meters,
Beginning
which will take
national
place
age
from
standard
the
is
same location.
21.48.
Stay with
The
us.
B
You're watching
standard is
Crossroads League
21.62.
Outdoor Track and Field
Meet
Championships.
record established in 2006 by King with a clocking of 21.27. We will have 4 heats. Top finisher in each heat, and the next 5 best times will advance to the finals tomorrow. Here are your entrants in lane. Check that in heat number 1. In lane number 2, Mitchell of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 3, Plattner of St. Francis. Lane 4, DePriest of Huntington. Lane 5, Mitchell of Bethel. Lane 6, Turk of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 7, Downs of Bethel. And Lane 8, Taylor of Goshen. Attention for meat workers. The food is now available in the press box area. Thank you.
Jackson.
Right, we're getting ready for the men's 200, heat 1. We'll give you the lane assignments. In lane 2, Mitchell of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Lane 3, Plattner of St. Francis. Lane 4, DePriest of Huntington. Lane 5, Mitchell of Bethel. Lane 6, Torek of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 7, Downs of Bethel. And lane 8, Taylor of Goshen. First heat of 4.
Set.
Clean start. We've got a 2:174 in this field to qualify. Look for number 7 of Jordan Downs. Lane 7. Perhaps it looks like he's leading close. Indiana Wesleyan Jackson Torek also running a good match. He does win that one. Jackson Torek of Indiana Wesleyan will get his time unofficially in a moment. 2:1.85, 2:1.85. A great mark. The outdoor record in this one is 2:1.27. So Torek of Indiana Wesleyan, the freshman, the 2:1.85, and Downs of Bethel, who we expected to win, is second. Of course, these are just heats, but great times being posted here, kind of on a wet day, although rain is not falling anymore. I don't know if that has any effect on track conditions and speed. You would think it would. This track doesn't hold water that much with the finish that it has, but some very good times being posted here for early heats.
Once again, for meat workers, we now have your food available here in the press box. Thank you.
Get set for heat number 2 now, men's 200. Lane 2, Sperry of Bethel. Lane 3, Barrow of Huntington. Lane 4, Wu of Indiana Wesleyan. Lane 5, Bagley of St. Francis. Lane 6, Shield of Grace. Lane 7, Condi of Marion. Lane 8, Gilkey, St. Francis. Keep a close eye on lane 7, Condi of Marion, 2:1.69 to qualify. Doesn't necessarily mean he'll be running to win this one. Everyone's positioning themselves to qualify, but he does have the best time coming in. False start there for that one, so they'll set it up again. Don't know if we can see where the error was here, but they'll line it up, give it another shot.
On your mark.
Clean start. Good strong power there for Grace. That Martin Shield of Grace may be winning this thing. Shield of Grace with a 2:1.97 unofficially. And the win, Sparrow of Huntington second, Sperry of Bethel third.
Here are your entrants for heat number 3 of the men's 200
Another
meter
mark
dash.
under 22 for a preliminary, so very fast times here for these heats. The outdoor record again is at 21.27.
Jones of Bethel. Lane 6, Goodson of Spring Arbor. Lane 7, Pierman of Marion. Lane 8, Stanford of Taylor.
We just got 2 more running events for you after these heats are concluded, but they are long ones. 10,000 meter races will be the finals, and those will be run in succession, women first, then the men. Right now we're getting ready for heat 3 of 4 in the men's 200 meters. We'll give you the lane assignments. Lane 2,
reminder to meet workers, we now have food available here.
Forker of St. Francis. Lane 4, Zachary of Huntington. That was lane 3. Lane 4, Robinson of Taylor. Lane 5, Jones of Bethel. Lane 6, Goodson of Spring Arbor. Lane 7, Pierman of Marion. Lane 8, Stanford of Taylor. Fastest time in this heat, Pierman of Marion. He will be in lane 7. He ran a 2:1.52 to qualify. And we've already seen a couple of marks close to that this afternoon. Pierman will be lane 7 there, second from your right. But as we've seen, some of these other runners can easily win and get a good mark for these preliminary heats. Clean start. Keep your eye on Austin Pierman. He's out strong there in lane 7 from your left. Comes around, leading the pack. Close challenge there from Bethel, Corey Jones. But Pierman is still in the lead. Jones closing well, working for time as they finish. Pierman does get the mark there in the qualifying heat. And a 2:1.68. Again, some very good marks for heats, as many of these runners have gone under 22 seconds.
The best time of the 3 heats so far was Austin Pierman of Marion in a clocking of 21.68. Here are your entrants in the 4th and final heat. The men's 200 meter dash in lane 2, Browner of Grace. Lane number 3,
Finish there for Pierman.
Lane 4, Hamer
Corey Jones of Bethel closing on him, but not enough speed there. We'll probably see both of them in these finals with 4 heats.
Lane 7, Saka of Taylor. Lane 8, Wise of Spring Arbor.
Mind you again, tomorrow our coverage starts at 11 a.m. Most of these running events will be finals tomorrow. So you'll want to join us here, whatever method you're watching. If you're watching on Stretch Internet or on Facebook Live, pass that information on to other track fans who may be interested in following up on this coverage. I want to give great credit to our crew for being out here in very wet conditions yesterday and today, setting things up. And then all the fine folks here at the university who got the facility ready. It's none of these things just happen without people working really, really hard to host an event. Now we'll get in position for Heat 4 of the men's 200. Lane 2, Bronner of Grace. Lane 3, Villa of Goshen. Lane 4, Hamer of Marion. Lane 5, Mahay of Spring Arbor. Lane 6, Ramsey of Marion. Lane 7, Sakua of Taylor. Lane 8, Wise of Spring Arbor. And lane 9, Smith of Goshen. Haven't had a lane 9 competitor all day that I can recall, but you see him there, Smith of Goshen there on your far right. So we have 9 lanes full for this one. Well, looks like maybe we're missing one starting block there. Mahay of Spring Arbor might be a scratch. Don't see him lined up. Watch the 2 runners from Marion. Strong run there by Marion's runners. Also Taylor. That's Sakua of Taylor. We've seen him in a couple of other competitions with the hurdles. Both competitors from Marion out strong, Ramsey and Hamer. And as they congratulate, look, it looks like Hamer got a 2:1.81, Ramsey at a 2:2.14. We'll probably see both of them in the finals tomorrow as well.
Final heat in the men's 200-meter dash goes to Hamer of Marion in a clocking of 21.81.
So for both men and women in tomorrow's finals, you're going to see probably a lot of Marion speed, as we've seen a couple of these different competitions. The Marion sprinters have been quite dominant. Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan both have done well in the distance events. We'll see what that means now as we get ready for the women's 10,000 meters. Women's 10,000 meter will be our first long distance event of the day. Then we'll have the men's 10,000 meter following that. Stay with us. You're watching the Crossroads League Outdoor Track and Field Championships from WIWU-TV at Indiana Wesleyan University.
McBeath, Indiana Wesleyan. Rojas, Indiana Wesleyan. Clark of Spring Arbor. McCarkin of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Shoemaker of Spring Arbor. Harrison of Taylor. Terpstra of Indiana Wesleyan. Angelo, Indiana Wesleyan. Blumel of Taylor. Cunningham of Marion. Hardin of Taylor, and Hunter of Huntington. On your mark.
Like it on heads. We're getting ready now for the women's 10,000 meter, and there is the start. We'll tell you what the positions are. Olivia Schroeder of Taylor is in 1, McBeath of Indiana Wesleyan 2, Rojas of Indiana Wesleyan 3, Clark Spring Arbor of 4, McKirkin Mount Vernon Nazarene 5, Kyria Shoemaker of Spring Arbor 6, Harrison of Taylor, 7. Number 8, Terpstra of Indiana Wesleyan. In the 9 position, Angelo of Indiana Wesleyan. 10th position, Blumel of Taylor. Cunningham, number 11 for Marion. Number 12, Hardin of Taylor. And number 13, Hunter of Huntington. They were seeded, so expect Olivia Schroeder of Taylor to go out early. This will be about a 37, 38-minute race. One, 2, and 3, Taylor, and Taylor, 1, 10, and 12. So Schroeder, Blumel, and Hardin of Taylor. Jim Brunner joins me from WBAT Radio on his public address duties. Jim, we're going to be here for about 35 more minutes. And we've already seen Taylor doing really, really strong events today in the distance. We weren't surprised by that. I think the surprise of the day so far might be some Indiana Wesleyan showing for some of the distance events. But 1, 2, and 3 after one lap, no surprise there for Taylor.
And you got to think, Randall, that what they're doing here is trying to go out and establish a position and then just not let anybody come up and catch them. You see right there, they are running 1, 2, and 3 and really have distanced themselves already from the pack.
Your son's been coaching this probably longer than you and I have been calling anything. Well, maybe not you, but how do you coach distance runners for 10,000 meters?
It has got to be so difficult because this is not a race that you have every week. It's not like, okay, we're going to have a dual meet. Let's go out and run the 10,000 meters. Yeah, this is so difficult because there's so few times that you actually run this.
Yeah, training, they go much shorter than that. So I actually just saw one of the runners check her watch. I thought, well, she's going to be here a while.
Yeah, when you're doing 25 laps around the track, there's probably a certain time in a vicinity that you want to be. If you can be in that time frame, then you're going to be quite happy. But as you see right now, 1, 2, 3 Taylor, and then it's quite interesting that the Indiana Wesleyan runners are running 4 and 5. So it looks like right now the top 5 runners, although there's kind of a pack behind the 2 Wildcat ladies, that the top 8 right now. 5 of the first 5 of that group are Grant County runners from Taylor and Indiana Wesleyan.
It has been a Grant County day in some of the few events that we've had that have been finals. We saw an incredible 4x800 women and a 4x800 men, both won by Indiana Wesleyan. And I don't know about you, you've been doing public address here. I almost kind of went to sleep on the back half of that.
Thought it was over.
Of Taylor and women and Taylor women with the 4x800, and I had already called Taylor the winner. And then I look up and I see Indiana Wesleyan just closing and taking, and that was dramatic. And then we had almost a photo finish for the men for 4x800.
It was interesting in talking to Coach Bellinati and the other coaches for the distance from here at Indiana Wesleyan. They were telling me that they knew that Taylor had run their number 1 runner in the first leg of that 4x8, so they thought they had a chance. But I was like you. I mean, it looked like when you got with 200 meters to go, the young lady from Taylor still had a very monumental lead, and I didn't think there was anything possible. But, boy.
She faded, and Indiana Wesleyan had that incredible kick. And then, well, folks, if you're a track fan, you need to get out of here tomorrow and see some of these finishes, because this is a great competition, and those 4x800s are worth the price of admission today.
You know, I was asking the coaches, and you'll get a kick out of this statement. I was asking the Indiana Wesleyan coaches, I said, do you have a chance to win the meet? And this was their answer. It depends on how many football players from Marion decided to stay there and practice football or come out and run it. And you've seen in the dashes how many outstanding athletes they have that are probably 2-sport athletes. But I think Indiana Wesleyan's got a chance to win this tomorrow.
I haven't seen the finals. You've got the final list, but I think we're going to see a lot of Marion in the at least in the sprints tomorrow.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm looking right here. We just had the women's finals in the 200. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 9 finalists for the ladies in the 200 are from Marion. And in the men, it may be even more exaggerated. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, no, just 3. But still, just watching them run, you can imagine you could really accumulate a lot of points in one event if you can put 3 or 4 in that top 5 or 6.
Remind those of you watching, tomorrow coverage begins at 11 a.m. Please pass along the live stream information through whatever method you are watching. We welcome you. And we will have all those finals events tomorrow, 11, hopefully till about 5 or 6 o'clock. We'll see if they can click things off as quickly as they've done today. This has been like clockwork today.
It has been incredible to watch, and in just watching the gentleman who's the starter and the gentleman who's the clerk. You've got Terry Lakes here now, the former Great Marion coach, to help out. You're right, they are running this like absolute clockwork, and I've been at meets before where you get there and it says, okay, we're going to start this race at 4 and this race at 4:20, and it ends up being 5 and 5:20. But not today. We are right on this. And by the way, I'm looking up here. You're now at almost 6.5 minutes, and this young lady from Taylor has really opened up a lead.
She came out strong, and she, I don't know, Jim. I can run maybe one lap of this, and my face would be showing it. She looks like she just barely woke up, and then just.
This is Olivia Schroeder.
Olivia Schroeder, very strong, very strong runner for Taylor. The outdoor championship record for this particular competition, 36:01:38. That was set in 2005 by a runner from Goshen.
That's you now look as we are looking down the main stretch here is our leader is now getting ready to start passing already some runners, and you know, she just looks like she's out for an afternoon jog. I mean, it looks like right now there's no grimacing on her face, got a nice smile on her face as she goes by us here, and she looks like she's just been waiting for this race to get underway. By the way, we did have a little rain earlier in the afternoon, but right now for distance running, this is perfect right here. A little cool, not a whole lot of wind, and certainly just that ability right now with the temperature to kind of keep you where you're very comfortable out there on the track for about a 35 or 40-minute race.
I think at this point, Olivia Schroeder's just racing against herself and thinking, she's not thinking this, her coach won't let her, but she is just racing for time and positioning for the national championships later this month.
Yeah, and absolutely, that is something that all these folks think about as she comes in as the #1 seed. Indiana Wesleyan, the two young ladies that are doing quite well in this race right now are Annie McBeath and Viet Rojas. And, you know, they're hanging right in there, you know, with a chance to score points. And that's, if you're not going to win, that's what this is all about at this point.
Here's Olivia Schroeder. You mentioned lapping some of her competitors already.
Well, she just looks so comfortable.
Her pace at 8 minutes in is really something.
It really is amazing.
You know, Jim, we have been, when we hosted the NAIA Nationals a few years ago, we've been running this race in the dark almost.
Yeah.
Well, the lights on the track were on, but,
right.
but talk about events that you're packing a lot in. Of course, different structure, national championship, 3 different days, but we have run this event in darkness in the stands, not on the track.
And depending on when you have your meet, if you are having any kind of heat situation, then they want to run the 10,000 as late in the day as they can, because it is a strenuous affair. And, you know, when you get to the Nationals and the weather's going to be a lot warmer. In fact, this year I believe it's down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. This is a race you're probably going to run about 11 o'clock at night.
Well, when Indiana Wesleyan hosted this 4 years straight, I think or 5 years if I recall, we had just about every possible variation of Indiana spring weather we could throw at the national crowd. And we just said, because we had storms like we've had today that ended up with about a 15-degree drop in temperature afterwards. We had lightning that shut things down. And my memory of the first year doing this, because we didn't have a production truck for WIW-TV, we had a tent right out there in the infield. And it was the tiniest tent possible, I think, that we could use. And it was in the 90s, as I recall. At least in my mind, it was in the 90s. So we had a little bit of everything. I think you're right. I've heard long-distance runners say they like it a little bit warmer, but I think with as much as they've got to run, as long as they've got to run, they've got to think this temperature is about right.
I'm going to get Coach Lakes over here if we can steal me just for a second. He can probably give you a little bit more of an expertise on this race because he was down there helping it get organized. I'm going to go grab him here real quick for you and let him give you some more expertise on a heck of a distance coach and what this is all about. So hang on.
Coach, we're about 10 minutes in here, and when you look at Olivia Schroeder with the comfort level of where she's running, let's see, she's now a little bit away from us. We can see her out there. When you're looking at a runner 10 minutes into a 10,000 with that kind of comfort level, are you feeling good about her pace?
Yeah, she looks really relaxed. She's, arms are where they need to be. She's running by herself. I mean, it almost looks like she's out for a, 10-mile distance run. And, Olivia, I've seen her indoor season and outdoor season. She's an awfully tough runner. So, I think now she's probably going to start focusing on those girls she's getting ready to lap, picking up one of those or maybe the next one. It is such a long race that it's tough to stay focused when you're by yourself like that.
Her seeding time. Now, Coach, when they have these seedings coming in, is that their best time of this particular season?
Yeah, that would be this outdoor season that they've had.
So her seeding time or qualifying time is 38:02.66. Crossroads League outdoor record, as we mentioned earlier, is a 36:01. That was set in 2005. I guess it's been 13 years since we've seen that kind of mark. Is that something you don't expect to see very often in a league championship?
Not really. And, she's usually you've got somebody to help push you. So, you got to be pretty mentally tough to, if you want to stay on that pace to get yourself to a record like that. So, that has been a long time. And, the weather's great. There's very little wind. There's no sun. It's not too hot. So as a 10K runner, these are good conditions.
For Indiana, we'll take it.
Yes, we will after the spring we've had this spring and last spring.
For those of you watching in other states, I think most of the Crossroads League viewers out there watching know what Midwestern weather is. And this has been the most Indiana of Indiana springs, I think. But we'll take what we have today, considering it was still raining when we got things started at 2 o'clock today.
Sure.
Olivia Schroeder, your leader, 12:50 in the race. I don't even know what lap we're on. Don't have that mark on our scoreboard for what lap she is on.
Yeah, I can't see the lap counter down there yet either. So she's probably just past, I assume, 2 miles, maybe heading toward 2.5. I think she's probably about 10 laps in. Oh, there we go.
16 laps to go. Good guess, Coach.
Yep. This is a tough race. As a collegiate, I ran this 3 different times. I was not a 10K runner, and I tell you what, it's you're kind of in your own world out there. Your friends and teammates. There's a few still cheering, but the others have gone and got hot dogs, I think. So, you've got to really focus and concentrate. It's kind of the marathon of track races.
We will see some of these Crossroads League athletes at the Nationals in a few weeks. What kind of mark is someone going to have to make to get, like in the 10K, to get to Nationals?
Well, I think her, certainly she goes under 38. That'll be a mark that'll get her there at the national meet. And, I know this is a conference championship, and, of course, you want to get an A standard for that. But, conference championships, too, are all about points. You want to get many points as you can.
Do you want us in the exact spots, too?
So get us into the head of an athlete. We think of this as an individual sport. You come to a conference championship. How much are you thinking team, and how do you as a coach get them to think about what we're accomplishing together?
Well, I think, first, most coaches, I can't speak for all of them, but as a high school coach for our conference meet, you had to worry about your own race first, but, sometimes you'll double somebody or triple somebody, or maybe if you think you can win it with a relay that is not as good as your other one, but you can still win. Coaches will do that. So certainly I think you're looking, at your own individual performance. If you hadn't gotten the standards you want to get to the national meet, that's foremost. And then after that, you start talking about, we want to score as many points as we can. And if you are a distance-laden team, you want to get as many, athletes as you can in the top 6 here, or top 8, to make sure they score.
15 laps to go. How many do they run, Coach?
25.
25.
Yep.
So we're not quite at the halfway mark yet. Get a look at Olivia Schroeder there as she gets ready to lap again Emily Angelo of Indiana Wesleyan, and I don't see a lot of drop-off in her stride.
I don't either. She's, she's run this before, so she certainly knows, and she is, I'm sure at this point, just taking it one lap at a time and maybe getting splits from her coach or a team manager so she knows exactly where she is and where she wants to be.
And that's all permitted for those of us who aren't
yes.
Coaching, that kind of coaching, letting you know what your split times.
Certainly.
Not breaking any rules.
Right. Sir, she has a race plan that she and her coach have gone through, and he's going to keep her apprised of, hey, you're 2 seconds up, you're 5 seconds down, or we want to be at the mile at this point, and so forth. So I'm sure there's a plan there, and she has those splits in her mind and thinking, am I hitting those, and how am I feeling, at this point in the race. And, I think you'll see probably with a mile to go, maybe a little change in her cadence, a little change in her rhythm, to where she starts picking the pace up a little bit if she's feeling pretty good.
See 2 more runners from Taylor now back in the pack. Taylor Blumel and Sarah Harden of Taylor. Not sure they're on the same lap, but
looks to be like they're pretty close. If they're not, I think they're certainly in the same or in the top 8. It looks like.
Thank you, Coach Lakes.
Thank you.
Always good to get insight from people who live and breathe as you watch Olivia Schroeder keep a fantastic pace. I just keep waiting for her, Jim Brunner, to breathe a little bit.
Well, and I'm waiting for her to show some sign of fatigue, and there is none. Facial or body language is showing to me that she's just having a wonderful time out here getting a little exercise in. Doesn't that what it looks like to you?
I'm sure collapse is possible. Anything can happen, but you just wonder at this point, when you have so much distance on the field, if there's any worry ever about stride. I think at this point, all she needs to do is think about pace, and
her body language is just outstanding right now. Fully erect, not having any. Some of these girls are kind of bent over already, maybe cramping up a little bit. She is a 100% straight up in the air. Here come her 2 teammates, and they look like they're only about a half lap behind her, so they're also having a great day at the office right now. I mean, right now Taylor could score a plethora of points here, going 1, 2, and 3 in this event. The Indiana Wesleyan 4th and 5th runners are passing us right now. So 3 Taylor and then 2 Indiana Wesleyan runners in this top 5.
That's being McBeath and Rojas, 2 and 3 seeds for Indiana Wesleyan. So you said they're about 4th or 5th position?
Yeah, 4th or 5th for the 2 Indiana Wesleyan runners, yeah.
So points-wise, still good after Indiana Wesleyan won the 2 4x800s today. But clearly Olivia Schroeder and maybe her teammates could go 1, 2, and 3.
2, 3, yeah. That was the concern, I know, from some of the Indiana Wesleyan coaches before we started today about what Marion could do to the field here in the hurdles and the 100 and the 200, maybe even in the 4, that they said that sometimes their football players will and sometimes their football players won't run track. And you understand that they have one of the top 4 perennially strong football programs in the United States. And if they brought their backfield, you know what's going to show up here, right?
Well, I think that if there were any of our football players watching, they would say, yep, and we get to start playing them. That's what it's called, being a full-blown member of the MSFA is going to mean this fall, but it will be fun to watch.
It's going to be outstanding.
I think Marion's coming here.
Yes, St. Francis is there up in Fort Wayne. Marion is here.
Marion will be here.
If for whatever reason you only have one opportunity to make an Indiana Wesleyan game this year, let me tell you what, you just need to come out, because that's going to be a heck of a measuring stick for the Wildcats. They just want to see, because they've heard so much about St. Francis and Taylor being two of the perennial powerhouse national teams. They both won national championships. And the Wildcats just want to be able to see, amazingly, in year 2, just how they're going to fare against those kind of ball clubs. And Coach was telling me, he said, the first 6 games, he feels they have a chance to win every one of those first 6 games. And then bang, bang, here comes St. Francis and Marion. So it should be quite interesting. I would say this, I can only imagine what that stadium's going to look like on that afternoon of playing Marion here with what they've done in the past. And, of course, the Wildcats also have Taylor this year over at Taylor. So even the road games this year aren't too far away from here.
And I'm just thinking 5 years ago was the last time we had a national championship here. Might have been the last time I was in this broadcast booth, and none of what we're looking at there with Wildcat Stadium was there.
It's amazing to look over there, and it's almost an optical illusion.
Yeah, it is.
That gorgeous stadium is sitting over there. And I remember myself on opening home football game having to almost pinch myself. Standing room only crowd, perfect day for football, and just thinking, my oh my, this was the final piece of the puzzle for one of the truly finest small college athletic programs in the United States with what they've had here at Indiana Wesleyan. So, well,
just in terms of physical plant, it was like the last piece too.
Yes.
Now that we sit here, we're looking at the entire athletic complex, and it is quite a sight.
It's amazing. And
it was already a nice facility, but the additions to the baseball field have been finished out, and all the other pieces come together. The whole athletic complex here looks nice, and I'm just really pleased we're able to host an event like this today.
Think of this, Randall. When the IHSAA allows you to host one of 8 regionals in track and field in the state of Indiana every year, that is something. And when one of those regionals brings all the Fort Wayne runners down here, when they're saying to you, you have a better facility here than any place in Fort Wayne, which is a track mecca, that is an incredible IHSAA endorsement of what's going on here at the Indiana Wesleyan's facilities.
Well, I know the folks here work really hard to make it a good showcase, be good hosts. We learned a lot hosting those 4 years of the NAIA National Championships, and I think the athletic program as a whole has learned so many things and has really been pleased to bring people to this campus.
What was great today, and you so seldom see this, is you have the facilities here that if indeed the wind is out of the south as it is today, rather than run the 100 and the sprints into the wind coming down from north to south, they went ahead and ran on the backstretch, which they're able to do here because the way the facility is put together. And they were able to run those south to north so that all the runners had that wind behind their back because they're all trying to put times down to have a chance to qualify for the Nationals.
And, of course, we want that, but from a television standpoint, Jim, we would rather give people the angles that we have over here.
Certainly understand
we set
that.
up all our cameras with the normal position for the finish, and then it didn't quite work out that way. But we're happy for the athletes to get the better times.
I'm going to go check because our leader's coming down the straightaway here. I'm going to see how many laps she has. Hang on a second here.
You're watching Crossroads League, NAIA competition from Indiana Wesleyan University.
We're near the end of this, Randall. She got 9 laps to go.
9 laps to go in the 10,000 meter, and Olivia Schroeder from Taylor looks like she's about on lap 3.
24 minutes right now.
She was seeded number 1, and she's done exactly what that seeding suggests.
Yeah, you made a good point. Other than because anybody at any time could just have, a situation where they go down, your body just not responding to 36 minutes of punishment like this. But, right now this is a race that once you get out in front, if you have the talent she has, good luck trying to catch her.
And it makes me want to be down in Alabama in a few weeks to see how she runs against that field. But as we've both observed that championship, it truly is a national championship. And even though it's NAIA, we see a lot of talent when those schools come from all over the country. And much as basketball will become, the other thing in the NAIA is there's no divisions in national championships for track and field.
So you are running against, the premier athletes in the United States at the NAIA level. certainly should be a lot of fun. Well, here she comes again, and I mean, I don't see any semblance of her slowing down, and she's been on the same pace ever since we fired the gun, what, about 25 minutes ago.
No competition there. As you said, she's about 8 laps to go, 7 to go.
8 laps to go right now.
Okay, Olivia Schroeder from Taylor University.
Well, I'm going to get back on my PA here and get the crowd fired up. Been nice talking to you, sir. I'll come back. We'll do a little stuff with the men, okay? Thank you.
Always can use the help on the 10,000-meter race. As we fill in the information a little bit for you, and those of you who follow these athletes can watch their journey around the track. Now the race will be probably to see what comes in 2 and 3 as the 2 athletes from Taylor cross in front of us here at the finish
We're now
line.
down for our leader, the final 3,200 meters. Olivia Schroeder has taken the lead from the start and is sitting on that lead right now.
"26 minutes in, almost 27 minutes in on this 10,000 meter. Probably about 10 more minutes to go, 10 or 11 minutes. As we mentioned, Olivia Schroeder ran a 38:02.66 was her seeding coming into this competition. Good 45 seconds ahead of her closest competitor, which was sophomore, at least qualifying, Annie McBeath from Indiana Wesleyan. Schroeder's now crossing.
Just now across the start-finish line with 7 laps
7
to go.
laps to go for Olivia Schroeder. Right at the top. And if I'm identifying correctly, that would be the number 2. Is that number 2, Jim? 7? Megan Harrison, 2? Or is she being lapped there? 2 and 3, check that, everyone. 2 and 3 will be the 2 competitors staying together from Taylor. Sarah Harden and Isabel Hunter. Sarah Harden, Isabel Hunter, 2 and 3 running together. So right now you still have a Taylor 1, 2, and 3 with Schroeder way out in front. Probably more than a half a lap now ahead of her closest competitors, her teammates from Taylor. We'll follow this up with the men's 10,000 meter. Give you a little preview of tomorrow. We start coverage at 11 a.m. Streaming at the same locations that you're seeing now. And we'll go through till 5 or 6 o'clock, depending on how things go and weather-wise. Olivia Schroeder's pace keeping up very strong at this point. There you see Harden and Hunter, or Harden and Blumel of Taylor in the 2 and 3 spots. Harden and Blumel, Taylor in the 2 and 3 spots. Olivia Schroeder now crossing, 6 laps to go. I think I've lost track of how many times Olivia Schroeder may have lapped the field. But after this one, she'll have 3 laps to go. We'll see how she does compared to her qualifying time. We mentioned earlier she's come in at a 38:02. She's now at 32:22 as at the lead lap. Coach Lake said earlier 38 would definitely, something in the 38 range would get her to nationals later this month for the NAIA.
When our leader, Olivia Schroeder, passes the start-finish line, she'll have 3 laps to go.
Schroeder passing again the finish line. 3 laps to go for Olivia Schroeder.
Now with 3 laps remaining. Line, they have 3 laps to go, running in 2nd and 3rd.
They're 2nd and 3rd, just passing Hardin and Blumel of Taylor. 2nd and 3rd position. So still not a full lap behind Schroeder, but they've held that 2nd and 3rd position fairly consistently. So we're still looking at a 1-2-3 finish for Taylor if this situation holds. Olivia Schroeder crosses now at 34, almost 35 minutes. She has 2 laps to go. And you can see her pace has stayed strong throughout. Hardin and Blumel running together. Hardin in the 2 spot, Blumel in the 3 spot. See if either of them makes a break here at the end.
Second and third for Taylor.
Olivia Schroeder crossing now. You hear the bell lap. 1 lap to go. See what kind of a time she puts up. Clearly she will win this race unless she collapses on this back end, but issue now is time. How does that square? Olivia Schroeder of Taylor just running a masterful race throughout the time today. One more time, she has run a 38.02 this season. Right now she's at 37.02, probably a little bit off that pace, but comfortably ahead. Probably good enough for nationals competition. She comes across the back end. And about a quarter of a lap to go, plus some for Olivia Schroeder. So she may hit that 38 mark, but it's going to be 38 and some change. Looking very comfortable for having run for 38 minutes, practically. Olivia Schroeder now getting ready to break the tape. She's run a good game plan, a good race plan, and she will post a 38.01, 37:59.54. She comes in just under 38 minutes. Just under 38 minutes unofficially for Olivia Schroeder. What a fantastic effort today. She will get an opportunity to do that again at the national competitions for the NAIA later this month. What? Don't pay. And as you saw, Hardin and Blumel ran together the entire race, and they finished 2 and 3. And then McBeath of Indiana Wesleyan was in the 4th position. She posts a 39.17.
And our 4th place finisher, Annie McBeath of Indiana Wesleyan.
As the rest of the field comes in and posts their times, we're now at 40 minutes in the race.
Finishing in 5th place, Yvette Rojas of Indiana Wesleyan.
5th position, Yvette Rojas of Indiana Wesleyan, 40.22. greets her other competitors and teammates. So Indiana Wesleyan 4th and 5th. Two out of the brothers from Indiana Wesleyan now with another lap to complete. Kirkin from Mount Vernon comes in the 6th position, 40-48. And the rest of the field here with other laps to complete.
Your 6th place finisher from Marion, a freshman, Kate Cunningham.
6th place, Cunningham from Marion at a 41-25.
Finishing in 7th with a nice kick from Spring Arbor, Caitlin Clark.
7th position, Caitlin Clark, Spring Arbor.
Our 8th place finisher, Kyria Shoemaker from Spring Arbor. And our 9th place finisher, Megan Harrison from Taylor. 10th place goes to a freshman from Huntington, Isabel Hunter. and yellow. And finishing in 12th place, Nicole Terpstra from Indiana Wesleyan. Third and final call for the men's 10,000 meter run. Third and final call, men's 10,000 meter run. We have 18 gentlemen lined up to run in the men's 10,000 meter run. The A standard is 31 minutes and 16 seconds. The B standard is 31 minutes 45 seconds. The all-time Crossroads League record was established in 2000 by Gurry with a time of 30 minutes 40 seconds, .44. And here are your entrants. Chris Maxon of Indiana Wesleyan. Adam Fields of Indiana Wesleyan. Josh Brocado of Indiana Wesleyan. Alex Hellmuth of Taylor. Silas Vermilia of Indiana Wesleyan. Justin Ditkin of Spring Arbor. Cody Ahrens of Huntington. Michael Conte of Marion. Ian Fulton of Spring Arbor. Ryan Haggerty of Goshen. Nathan Holt of Taylor. Evan Hare-Nipsko of Bethel. Devlin McNeil of Bethel. Reed Otto of Taylor. Also in the field today from St. Francis, Ben Pilarski. From Marion, Luke Shoring. From Marion, Connor Smith. And finally from Marion, Lucas Sullivan, our 18 runners for the men's 10,000 meter run. On your mark. 25 laps, here we go.
And we get things started now for the men's 10,000 meter. You may have heard as things got off, Indiana Wesleyan's Chris Maxon seeded number 1 with a 30:51 qualifying time. Actually, Indiana Wesleyan seeded 1, 2, and 3 in this matchup, with Fields from Indiana Wesleyan, the number 2 seed, and number 3, Josh Brocado of Indiana Wesleyan. We'll see if they stack up that way. Early on, looks like one of the runners from Marion's making a move, but the pack is very clustered in this opening lap. And they'll run probably just a little bit over 30 minutes to see who wins. So we go out early with Chris Maxon from Indiana Wesleyan, again with a 30:51 seed time.
Your early leader is Chris Maxon, a sophomore from Indiana
The
Wesleyan, followed by teammate
outdoor record for the
Adam
Crossroads
Fields from
League is
Indiana Wesleyan,
30:40 from
and
Huntington,
running
set in
third right now,
2000.
Connor Smith from Marion.
So Maxon has qualified this year with a time just 10 seconds off of that record. Right now, Indiana Wesleyan 1 and 2. Looks like maybe that's
A reminder to workers and coaches, we
get
have
another
those
look
in
of
the
who
press
that
box
is
for
from
you.
Marion in the 3 spot right now. Maxon sets out the early pace. Fields right behind them, and that is for Marion, number 17. So that is Connor Smith of Marion, who did not come in with a qualifying time according to our records. Third is Josh Mercado of Indiana Wesleyan.
Fifth place is Alex Helmuth of Taylor. Sixth place
The
right
early
now
pace,
is
we
Nathan
expected
Holst of
Maxon to
Taylor.
go out front, and he has. But so far, some of the field staying with him. Chris Maxon of Indiana Wesleyan early on, 3 minutes in, 10% of the way through. Coming down the straightaway now with Connor Smith in the 3 spot. Connor Smith, who did not have a qualifying team time coming in, now in the 3 spot, but it's Maxon and Fields from Indiana Wesleyan early, and then a pretty big gap there. You've got Mercado from Indiana Wesleyan back in the 4 spot, and then the rest of the field is about a quarter lap behind. See how these numbers hold. Wind has kicked up just a little bit here, not significantly so, but a little more wind than we had about half hour ago when the ladies started running. 3.5 miles an hour from the south. And we're looking at Adam Fields keeping pace with Maxon, even though he may not be passing him, keeping his teammate in his sights, and then Connor Smith, the junior from Marion, back further. About at 1:10 pace for Maxon on the lap, at a minute 10 approximately, my unofficial timing here on his lap speed. 25 laps they run. So we'll see how Chris Maxon holds that up. Already at this point for the women, Olivia Schroeder was way out in front of the field. This field not giving up quite that much space to Maxon. But 1, 2, 3, and 4 are a good half a track now ahead of everyone else. Maxon still in the lead.
20 laps remaining.
20 laps to go.
The leader remains Chris Maxon of Indiana Wesleyan, followed by teammate
Josh Mercado still
Josh
in
Mercado.
4th, so it's Indiana Wesleyan 1 and 2, Marion 3, Indiana Wesleyan 4, and then a long gap before we get to the rest of the field, and that looks like Alex Helmuth of Taylor in the 5 position. Running a good pace, but Taylor in the 5 and the 6 position, teammate Nathan Holst there in 6th. Just a big distance now between 1 through 4 and then everyone else. Early separation here as we're about 5 laps or 6 laps into this race. Here's your leader, Chris Maxon. We'll get another look at his pace. About a 1:12. So unofficially staying pretty close on his pace.
Your top four.
Mercado
Maxon of
fourth.
Indiana Wesleyan, Fields of Indiana Wesleyan, Smith of Marion, and Mercado of Indiana Wesleyan.
Chris Maxon of Indiana Wesleyan getting ready to lap his first runner in the field.
Right now is Helmut of Taylor. Sixth place right now belongs to Holt of Taylor.
Here's the rest of the field in the 10K, way back. Expect we'll see Chris Maxon and some of the rest of the field lapping them pretty soon. And Maxon and Fields staying mostly together. Both looking strong. That's Ben Pilarski of St. Francis. He's actually a lap behind. Your third position there is Connor Smith of Marion. And then Josh Mercado for Indiana Wesleyan in fourth. And then you drop almost half the track now before you get to the fifth position.
Laps to go
17
for our
laps to
leader.
go. Chris Maxon passes. 16 laps to go.
Leaders, Chris Maxon of Indiana Wesleyan, Adam Fields of Indiana Wesleyan.
Maxon and Fields staying together.
Connor Smith of Marion and Josh Mercado, Indiana Wesleyan, running 3-4. These four runners are now battling for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Maxon and Fields together at 12 minutes in, a little bit less than halfway through this race. Chris Maxon and Nathan Fields are together as they come up, or Adam Fields. Don't know if 1.1 will try to overtake the other or get some separation. Right now running pretty much as a team. And the rest of the field practically non-existent after you get past third and fourth.
It appears that Mercado of Indiana Wesleyan has now moved into third, with Connor Smith of Marion running in fourth.
Connor Smith of Marion, who went out pretty fast early on, has now slipped back into fourth position. So Josh Mercado, who was seated third, is now indeed running third. Quite a bit back from his teammates Maxon and Fields. And Fields takes the lead over Maxon. They're still together, but Fields has now stepped in front of his teammate Chris Maxon. We'll see how that shakes out.
And the new leader of the race, Adam Fields, has now taken over the lead from Chris Maxon. The leaders with
Maxon
13
had the
laps
stronger
remaining.
qualifying time by really a good 15 seconds. Now crossing the finish line on the lead lap is Mercado from Indiana Wesleyan. Marion's Connor Smith is still holding there at number 4, and then the rest of the field is quite a ways back. We're about halfway through. 25 laps, about a 30 to 32 minute race for the leaders. And this is our last event on today's coverage. Again, tomorrow we start at 11 a.m. Invite you to join us. Maxon and Fields, actually Fields and Maxon now, 1 and 2 from Indiana Wesleyan. As they lap other competitors in the field. And here's the rest of your lead lap now coming down the stretch. Mercado and Smith still staying close at the third position. Indiana Wesleyan and Marion there. A good half lap off the pace of the leaders, which now has become Fields with a little bit of distance on Chris Maxon. Fields and Maxon now clearly separated, as Fields seems to have the strength as he comes down the second half of this race. And now you have Smith of Marion strongly in third, and Mercado in the fourth position for Indiana Wesleyan as he fades a bit.
Laps to go now for our leader, Adam Fields of Indiana Wesleyan, Chris Maxon
10 laps to go, Fields and Maxon, but Fields is separating clearly from his teammate now. Way past the halfway point in laps. We'll see what Chris Maxon has left as his teammates. Josh Fields separates, Adam Fields separates clearly a little bit more. Here's your third place, Connor Smith of Marion. And then Josh Mercado in fourth for Indiana Wesleyan.
Connor Smith of Marion has now moved back into third, and Josh Mercado of Indiana Wesleyan still running in fourth with 10 laps remaining.
Here are your leaders. Once again, the lead lap, Adam Fields, Chris Maxon. Fields ahead of Maxon, who set out the early pace and was the lead qualifier coming in here. The two teammates are still running close. Fields has gone out ahead. It really doesn't look as strong at this point. His facial expressions mean anything. And actually, Maxon appears to be closing a little bit of a gap there on Fields. Third place, Connor Smith, Josh Mercado, fourth. Mercado has looked winded this entire race, but he's keeping up his pace. Just has not held the third position. Coming down the stretch, Fields and Maxon again are together. Maxon has made up space on Fields. Fields is not looking as strong as he crosses here. Perhaps they will finish together, perhaps not. But Fields went out ahead of his teammate. Now he looks quite winded. Maxon has really not changed his pace from what we can tell here. We're at 21:40. About 10 minutes to go in this race. And it is a race between the two teammates, Maxon and Fields. Third place, Connor Smith, Marion. Fourth place, Josh Mercado. Trying to kick it up a little bit from fourth. Fields and Maxon. They were together almost in the last lap. Now Fields goes back out ahead of Maxon.
Let's review the top 6 runners right now for you. Adam Fields of Indiana Wesleyan running in first. Chris Maxon of Indiana Wesleyan running in second. Third place right now is Connor Smith of Marion. Fourth place belongs to Josh Mercado of Indiana Wesleyan. Michael Conte of Marion is running in 6th place, right behind his teammate Lucas Sullivan, who's in 5th. 2,400 meters left for our leaders. Our leader, Adam Fields, a junior from Indiana Wesleyan, coming up now on the start-finish line with 5 laps remaining.
5 laps to go. Adam Fields way out in front of Chris Maxon
About 30
now.
meters behind him, now running in second. with
Maxon
5 laps to
second.
go.
And Connor Smith in third. Here's your 3 and 4. 3 is still Connor Smith of Marion. Lots of distance between Josh Mercado, who's now running 4th for Indiana Wesleyan.
Our leader, Adam Fields, now coming up. 1,600 meters to go for our leader.
4 laps to go. 4 laps to go as Adam Fields crosses. Chris Maxon now about an 1/8 of a lap behind.
This is our 3rd place runner right now, Connor Smith. Marion coming up with 1,600 meters to go. 4 laps remaining. He's in fourth.
Adam Fields now the lead lap. 3 laps to go.
Fifth place now belongs to Michael Conte coming across the start-finish line with 1,600 meters to go, and in 6th place his own teammate. Right behind him, Lucas Sullivan of Marion.
Adam Fields, your leader. 2 laps to go as Fields passes his teammates Mercado, who's right now running in 4th position. So the leader has lapped the 4th place contender in the field. Chris Maxson now a distant number 2. And Adam Fields is approaching for the bell lap. So now we'll see if Adam Fields can beat his own best time, which is a 31:06. Probably a little bit off that pace, but still going to be a great day for Adam Fields. Way ahead of his teammate Chris Maxson at this point, who is in the 2 position.
Indiana Wesleyan's Chris Maxson now coming to the start-finish line. He has 1 lap to go.
1 lap to go for Chris Maxson, who led much of this race. But Adam Fields, barring some kind of collapse now, is going to win handily. And we'll see how he squares with his best time. Again, Fields has posted a 31:06. Maxson has posted a 30:51, but he won't make that today.
Our leaders ahead of the stretch with 100 meters to go.
Adam Fields now coming down the stretch with his last kick.
Here is your winner,
Adam Fields, 31:24-25 unofficially. 31:24-25 unofficially. Very close to NAIA standards.
And now your second place finisher coming down.
Second place now, Chris Maxson.
This is Chris Maxson.
And he will probably come in just a little bit under 32. It's like a 31:57 for Maxson.
57.
Here's your 3rd place finisher, Connor Smith
Connor Smith
from
of
Marion.
Marion finishing in
Fourth
Wesleyan,
place,
Josh Mercado.
Josh Bricado, fourth place for Indiana Wesleyan. Comes in a little bit under 33.
Top of the stretch, this will be our fifth place finisher. This is Michael Conte of Marion.
Michael Conte of Marion, fifth place. Still with another lap to go. Oh, there he is there. The 33:26 for Conte of Marion.
Conte at 33:26. And his teammate, Lucas Sullivan, will be finishing in sixth. Seventh place goes to Reed Otto of Taylor. reminder for our meat workers and for coaches, we have plenty of food still left here in the press box. Thank you.
Well, we thank you for joining us for this coverage of day one of the Crossroads League Championship. We'll be back tomorrow at this same streaming location where you found us today. Tell your friends and neighbors, tell your track fans. We'll be back tomorrow starting at 11 a.m. with coverage. Most of the running events we'll have live on here, and they will be finals. And we hope to see you then. Hope we'll see better weather. So for now, for everyone part of this crew, I'm Randall King for Indiana Wesleyan University and WIWU-TV. Thanks for joining us.